Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Benthien. I'm the Executive Director of Earthquake Country Alliance, and here are some instructions for how to participate in today's meeting. This is an open Zoom meeting, so we can hear you if you are not muted, and we can see you if your camera is on. And we actually encourage you to have your camera on so we have the experience of all of us being together for this meeting like we might in one of our normal in-person quarterly meetings. But remember, please do keep your mic off, go on mute when you're not speaking. And there will be times for you to speak, especially in our breakout rooms coming up. There also are live transcripts that you can select. Click the live transcript button and you can show subtitles or transcript as written here on this slide. So with that, I will introduce Dina Gunning and Daniel Holmesy, who are two of our co-chairs of the Earthquake Country Alliance Bay Area, and who are with us right now. I don't know if Ray Bonilla has already joined. I haven't seen. But Dina, as you were prepared to lead this part, go ahead.
Great. Thanks so much, Mark. And welcome everybody to our fall workshop. So nice to see everybody virtually. So welcome everybody. And between myself, Daniel Holmesy and Ray Bonilla, we welcome you and thank you all for joining us today. We have a great program, so we'll hit the next slide. Great. So just real briefly, Earthquake Country Alliance, a private public grassroots organization, and we are statewide, and we have local alliances throughout the state now. We have our Bay Area group, our Redwood Coast group that has the tsunami work group, and our other regional group, Central Coast, and our Southern California group. So if you're interested in joining or have others that are interested in joining, please go to earthquakecountry.org/alliance. Okay, and we also have a lot of coordinating committees. So if you are interested in joining one of the committees, please reach out to Sharon Sandow de Groot at Bay Area at earthquakecountry.org, and she will connect you to different positions that we have. And thank you to everybody, because it really is a team effort. So thank you to all our coordinating committee members that do such a fantastic job. Next slide. And our agenda today, so making earthquake early warning inclusive and accessible. So a flash listening session. And then we'll have the hazard mitigation funding opportunities. We'll do a shakeout overview. And then we have our mini awards, our 2021 announcement and our 2020 recipient presentations. And then we'll have additional discussion and announcements. So looking forward to a great agenda. And we're starting off with making earthquake early warning inclusive and accessible. So the flash listening session. So I am pleased to introduce Amanda Moyer from our Cal Office of Emergency Services, OES, and Bob de Groot from USGS. Take it away, guys.
Great, thank you. My name is Amanda Moyer, and I am the Earthquake Early Warning, Earthquake Warning California Program Manager at the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services. And thank you for having us today and participating. One of our priorities of earthquake early warning is to make earthquake early warning tools and resources accessible to all. And we look forward to hearing from you today, hearing your thoughts and ideas and feedback. And so with that, I'll turn it over to the coordinator of this session, Robert de Groot. Bob?
Thanks so much, Amanda. It's always great to work with you. And I just wanted to briefly introduce myself. I'm the coordinator for communication, education, outreach, and technical engagement for the USGS Shake Alert Earthquake Early Warning Project. And I also serve as one of the chairs of the statewide committees for ECA for the Epicenter Committee. And I have a lot of gratitude for all the work that ECA members put into making Shakeout and other activities successful. You all make it happen. And as you may know, the Shakeout Earthquake Early Warning System is up and running, not only in California, but also in Oregon and Washington. And we are serving a total, or actually more than 50 million people across the 3 states. And as Amanda mentioned in her short introduction, that we are dedicated to making earthquake early warning accessible to all people. And we had a really nice session with one of the statewide committees a couple of weeks ago about improving some of our resources, and we've gotten some really good feedback. I also just wanted to really quickly recognize the fact that the ECA Bay Area was also involved in another listening session related to the to feedback for our first set of tools and resources that were produced in partnership with an organization that we've been working with for about a year called Nusura. And so I wanted to thank you again for your feedback. And there was a report that was published about that feedback that we received, not only from this group, but also from the other groups. So if you don't have access to that report, we'd like to make it available to you. We'll make sure you get your hands on it. I'd like to actually just quickly introduce the absolutely fantastic team that I get to work with in the production of our messaging toolkits. Of course, lots of wonderful resources from Earthquake Warning California, from Cal OES. On our team that's working specifically on the USGS side, I'd like to recognize a group of folks, Gabe Lotto from the University of Washington, Corey Reynolds from Nusura, Mariah Jenkins from the USGS, Peggy Whitehead from Nusura, Margaret Vinci, the famous Margaret Vinci from ECA. She's at Caltech, and Roseann Cordelli, also from Nusura. And I'm not sure if Josh Bruce is with us today, but he's from the University of Oregon. And so we have a really, we look forward to getting feedback from you today. I won't delay this any further. I'd like to turn it over to my good friend, Gabe Lotto, to bring us to the next session.
Thanks, Bob.
Sure.
Yeah. And so I want to thank everyone for being here and thank the ECA Bay Area group for indulging us and letting us do this flash listening session. Next slide, please. Yeah, so the purpose, as far as we're concerned, our goal here is to run a short 15-minute brainstorming session and to identify considerations and ideas, challenges, opportunities, etc., in making earthquake early warning and shake alert accessible to everyone. And we're here focusing on a messaging standpoint, like communication, but we're really here to, we want to hear all of your ideas. So next slide, please. In just a minute or two, we are going to ask you to self-sort into these, into one of 4 breakout rooms. And you'll be there, each of those breakout rooms will have a leader and a note taker from our team. Let me just read out what those breakout groups or focus groups are, so you can think about which one you want to join. Group 1 is going to focus on accessible education and training. Generally, what makes a resource, for example, graphics, job aids, videos, etc., accessible to everyone? What are the considerations we need to think about there? The second breakout group is about leveraging existing resources. What already exists? You know, the Nusura team, the Shake Alert team, and Cal OES, we don't want to reinvent the wheel here. We want to use what's already available. So this is, if you join this group, you can help us identify what works, what doesn't work as well as it should, maybe. In group 3, we'll talk about technical considerations for accessible earthquake early warning. If this is something you're interested in, we'll be discussing with Margaret at the lead, how can we ensure accessibility in products and services that deliver an alert from a technical standpoint? If that's interesting to you, please join group 3. And then 4, accessible earthquake early warning across the 3-state Shake Alert system. So as Bob said, we're not just in California, we are in Oregon and Washington as well. And soon we will be widely available publicly in those states. So how do we collaborate on education and training? So if you're interested in that kind of big picture process, join group 4. So I just want to say, as you think about which of these groups you might be interested in, our team is really just there to listen and record ideas. The USGS folks, we won't be trying to defend or debate or justify resources that exist. We really want to hear your creative, innovative ideas of any sort. So, and I just want to note that when we're in these groups, you're welcome to provide feedback via the chat. You don't have to unmute yourself, although we'd love to hear from you, but the chat is great too. So after about 10-15 minutes, we will rejoin and just share a couple of big ideas from each group. Sound good? Everyone thought about which breakout group they want to join? Great. So I'm not sure what the technical process is here, but
Mark will open the breakout groups, and then you'll be able to just click join next to the group number that corresponds to the discussion that you would like to sit in. This looks different on mobile than it does on desktop. I will be staying here in the main room to help with any technical difficulties.
And where you may see this is on your menu below the presentation and pictures in the more area is where you may see where to join the breakout rooms. And on a mobile device, you may need to touch your screen in order for a graphic to appear, perhaps at the top left, that says join breakout rooms.
Okay, it looks like we're all back. So if we can start with the first group, our education and training group. Does Josh or Peggy want to give a 30-second update on maybe 1 or 2 key points that came up from your group?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Mariah. Just remembering to sort of catalog all of the various audiences and what potential disabilities or impairments. So remembering about vision impairment groups, very much, I think, support for the types of engagement and outreach that we are incorporating into the materials. But again, remembering folks, that might be vision or hearing impaired, et cetera. I think similar to what we heard on the 5th. Folks also mentioned that there are groups out there, like a group called Listos, that could be very beneficial for us to connect with directly in terms of getting materials out. And then even some comments in the chat about working with certain groups that may learn best through actually doing. And so, activities like the Shakeout or Drop, Cover, and Hold On, and having, actually walking through what it will be like to get a Shake Alert are great ways to do training, education, outreach.
Awesome, thank you for sharing. That sounds like a good discussion. So maybe we can move on to group 2, our leveraging existing resources group. Gabe or Roseann, would either of you like to report out?
Yeah, Mariah, 2 key points. The first is that many people identified that counties often have robust community warning systems already in place that send out public safety information about all sorts of events. And quite a lot of people are already registered, although certainly not everyone. But the counties have a lot of practice delivering those messages and being a trusted resource. So we should take advantage of that. Another thing is that when we're talking about accessibility, just 2 things, of course, to keep in mind. Folks who don't speak English as a first language, and generally making technology that's super easy for the end users, because technology and awareness of technology is often a barrier.
All right, any one quick point from our technical considerations group with Margaret and Corey?
This is Amanda. The challenges that were identified out of group 3 was seniors don't frequently use technology. Uh-oh.
Amanda, we've lost your audio somehow.
Amanda.
Amanda, we've lost your audio and she can't hear us. Margaret, can you?
Okay, should I go ahead? Yes, I think what she was going to be saying was one of the things that we also identified were people, senior citizens, that don't use technology. And so we need to find a way of getting information to them. Also people that have mobility issues, making sure that they have the right information about protective actions. Some of the uses that we talked about are, of course, the apps, WIA, using TDD phones could be a way of getting the information, especially for people with access and functional needs. Using cable TV, the visual scroll captioning at the bottom, blinking lights. The weather radio channel, because they have a different type of connection than our cell phones, so that could be a multiple modality as backup. Using signage for people that have hearing issues, and a sign will come across either in a room or a grocery store or wherever they might be. Gas station visuals where you are on the pumps, where they come across on that as well. And then one of the things that we talked about was education on automated operations, making sure that the public is aware of these automated operations, that yes, they know about apps and WIA, but also that they are awareness to the automated operations, its multiple modalities and backups, and having information about those as well.
Thank you so much for sharing out that, Margaret. So we have one more minute here. In group 2, in our 4th group, we talked about state collaboration and listed some great organizations that are already doing some of that work. But just to close this out here, thank you all so much for such a lively discussion. We heard a lot of ideas here, even though we were kind of here for just a short period of time. We've documented we documented our conversations here today. So following this meeting, we'll compile a report just of some of the ideas shared here, and we'll share that out with all of you. This conversation doesn't end here. If you have any more ideas or organizations we should check out or anything you'd like to share with us, please feel free to email any of the facilitators you spoke with today. Bob's email is listed right in front of us here. So thank you all so much for your time and attention today. We look forward to being in contact soon. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Everybody, we have several more presentations for you today. Our next one is about the possibility how your community and organization may be able to receive funding for conducting various types of hazard mitigation. So Anthony, if you could go ahead and share your presentation and begin.
Thanks, Mark. Tell me if you can see this here. Can you see that? All right. So thank you all for joining me today. My name is Anthony Roggio, and I am the lead specialist for the Cal OES Hazard Mitigation Assistance Branch. And today I'm just going to take a few minutes to talk to you about the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program and what it is that we do and how we might be able to help you going forward. Let's see here. So let's start off with the definition of hazard mitigation so that you can understand kind of the basis of what it is that we do. Hazard mitigation is defined as any sustained action taken to reduce or eliminate long-term risk to life and property from natural hazard events. The key point there is that we only handle natural hazard events. We do get a lot of interest in our program for things related to man-made hazards such as terrorism or whatnot. That's not something that we handle here. It has to be strictly related to natural hazards. Of course, seismic events, earthquakes is something that we can consider. Flooding is heavy for us. And obviously right now, just how the disaster climate in the state of California is going, fire has been obviously a very large focus for us lately. So in our program, our goal is to implement mitigation measures that reduce loss to life and property from future disasters. What we are looking for in our program are projects that implement long-term standalone risk reduction strategies. So we are not looking for projects that serve as to be a band-aid fix for a problem. They do have to be something that is long-term. Also, it cannot be contingent upon any other action to be effective. We are looking for something that can serve as a mitigation or risk reduction strategy simply on its own. We also assist in providing funding for planning related projects and planning projects in general. Some of the cities or counties or local jurisdictions that are on here today may be familiar with the idea of having a local hazard mitigation plan or being a participant in a multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan in order to be eligible to receive funding for many programs administered by the federal government. So that is something that we will provide funding for as well. So where does HMGP come from? It's pretty simple. If there is a disaster that occurs within the state, depending on the size and scope of that disaster, the governor would then typically reach out to the president for federal disaster assistance, and in some cases ask for a major disaster declaration. Should that disaster declaration be approved by the president, which in the past has always been the case, we've rarely been denied a major disaster declaration. We then go out and assess damages, provide evaluation for those damages sustained. We are considered an enhanced state, and what that does for us is it then provides us with 20% of those assessed eligible damages that we can then put forth towards hazard mitigation grant program projects. That funding comes from FEMA. It moves through the state. The state then solicits a sub-application process from state entities who are interested in receiving potential funding. We then vet those projects for eligibility, technical feasibility, various other things. We then move them on to FEMA for a concurrence on a decision and hopefully an approval. And if we receive that approval, we move the money down to those local jurisdictions. So that kind of little table down there kind of gives you an idea how the money flow works for us. And we have some various categories that we can address for various funding types, or various project types, I should say. So with every disaster that we see in the state of California, recently in the last couple of years, it has been mostly fires, as we know. A lot of fires have been happening, but that's not to say that we don't still face a very real threat of an earthquake here as well. So we do in our program consider everything that would be a natural hazard as an option for us as something to address. With every disaster, though, we do establish some sort of priority list on how we are going to review projects and move projects on for funding. So as you can see here, this is something you definitely want to capture in your like maybe screen capture this. These are the exact priorities that we're looking at addressing with our current funding opportunity. Our number one biggest priority is, local hazard mitigation plans and helping to get those updated if they're expiring soon or if there's new ones that need to be addressed. And the reason that is because without having one of those in place, you are not eligible to receive funding from any of the programs we offer and many of the other programs such as public assistance and whatnot offered through FEMA and the state. Moving on from that, we're looking for shovel-ready projects with a high level of design that can essentially begin construction from the day that they are approved. So if a project were to be approved by FEMA and Cal OES today, then sometime within the next 90 days, you should be able to start construction on that project. So this is kind of give you an idea of what it is that we are looking for projects right now. And we are not focused strictly on wildfire projects, although that is a big thing right now. It's a big focus right now. We will absolutely take a look at flood projects, seismic related projects for earthquake, storm related projects, ice events, snow events, whatever it might be. We will certainly consider them for funding under our program. So here, this is to kind of just outline a little bit more about fire mitigation project types and what those look like. These are what we're seeing a lot of lately. I know we're all in this meeting today to talk about earthquake and whatnot, but we want to kind of broaden the scope for what our program offers. We have to look at a lot of, just everything. But this is a huge focus right now. We just suffered a 4 million acre loss to the state in the most recent fires. So this is a very, very, very big issue for us. But these are some of the project types that we do look at and consider under our program, and we can absolutely provide funding for projects like this. Post-wildfire mitigation, just as important as pre-wildfire mitigation. Reason being is we are trying to avoid seeing another event like we saw in, I believe it was 2018, in the city of Montecito in Santa Barbara County, where they saw a very, very large-scale mudslide event, a disastrous event there that destroyed a lot of homes. I believe killed 2 people, injured many. We are, we want to avoid that. So in these large-scale burn scar areas, there's issues with watersheds being in danger and whatnot from mudslide events. So we definitely want to be able to provide funding and assist in that realm as well. We also want to consider green solutions to mitigation as well. We're kind of moving in that direction. We would like to be able to look at mitigation projects, mitigation actions that provide that risk reduction while simultaneously providing benefits to the environment. If that's something that is able to be done effectively, then we certainly want to consider it. Some project types that we see in that realm look something like this: floodplain stream restoration, aquifer storage and recovery, which is pretty much specific to drought, flood diversion and storage, and green infrastructure projects. A lot of people ask, what is green infrastructure exactly? And this is kind of to give you an idea of just a very small bundle of examples of what those look like. Just to give you an idea, say that one up in the top right, constructed wetlands. What that is there were structures that were in a special flood hazard area that saw significant damage during high level flood events. What that jurisdiction decided to do then was to move those at-risk structures out of the floodway and turn it into a constructed wetland, which is of course an open green space, very environmentally friendly, and it also helps to control their flooding issues in that area. So again, provides that mitigation risk reduction strategy while simultaneously being environmentally friendly as well. Other project eligible project types that we see, this is the list right here. These are the things that are kind of ingrained in the Code of Federal Regulations specific to our program, and the things that we absolutely usually no problem making work. There are things that fit outside of these traditional methods for mitigation, and we will certainly take a look at them. But these are the ones that are kind of in the code and accepted as true hazard mitigation project types. And we see a lot of these here. You can see down there at the bottom, we've got some structural retrofitting going on. Up the top right, we've got some elevation projects, and we see a lot of that here in Northern California, in the Sonoma County area, city of Guerneville specifically. So these are some of the things that we will definitely take a look at if you are interested in getting your project funded. 5% initiative. This is a separate little pool of funding that comes out of the 20% that we receive. What this is here to capture is projects that do not simply or very easily fit into the cost effectiveness requirement for the program. All those other project types that you saw on the previous pages, it's usually pretty easy to quantify the exact benefits that are seen, or very close to the exact benefits that would be seen from a one of those risk reduction project types. But there are some project types that have such a wide or broad range of benefits. It's very, very difficult to quantify those exact benefits. Every project that comes through our program has to be cost beneficial in some way, but this little piece or program is there to capture those projects that are very difficult to quantify that benefit. And what we see most frequently here are those earthquake early warning systems. We see a lot of that. We encourage folks who are interested in submitting earthquake early warning system projects to try to derive the real benefits of the program. And the reason that is because this little 5% of the 20% pool is much more competitive than the larger 20% pool of projects. And the difference only really being how you can quantify the real benefits of the project. So In this 5% initiative, we do see a lot of those early warning system projects, whether it be earthquake, tsunami, or fire. And we see a lot of critical facility generator projects as well, generators that protect fire stations, police stations, EOCs, or hospitals. We see a lot of that here as well. Very important to take note of these things right here. Ineligible activities, the most important one being projects where actual physical work has occurred prior to the approval and obligation of a project. If a project has started, it is simply not eligible for our program, and there's just no arguing that, no getting around that. It is just, unfortunately, one of the rules of the program. If something has already started on the project, we cannot move it on for funding to FEMA. So these have to be projects that haven't started yet. Maybe there's something that you have wanted to do, haven't had the funding to do so, but haven't had the chance to get started on it yet. That's perfect, because then we can definitely take a look at something like that. Again, projects that do not implement a long-term standalone strategy, like I mentioned before, no Band-Aid fixes, and definitely no contingencies. If it's contingent upon some other action to be successful, then it is not eligible for the program. All projects that cannot be completed within 36 months. This is unfortunately for us the barrier on time. 36 months is what is known as the period of performance, and that starts and ends with the award of a project. If a project is awarded and you have selected for your project to take the full 36 months, it cannot exceed that. If you have a project that would take 5 years to complete, it is not eligible for the program. It has to fit comfortably within that 36-month approach, or 36-month POP. Also, studies and investigations are not eligible unless they are used to supplement a actual mitigation project. A study or investigation by itself, not eligible, but a study or an investigation used to supplement the scope of work of a full project, that is absolutely eligible. A common situation there would be a H&H study, or hydrology and hydrologic study for flooding, to essentially talk about or take a look at the upstream and downstream impacts of a change to a flood control structure, something like that. Absolutely eligible. It's absolutely necessary to make sure that the project is technically feasible, and we would definitely accept it in that instance. Emergency response activities. A lot of people want to ask us about, can you replace our fire trucks? Can you buy us new police cars? No, we cannot do that. We are not in the business of responding to a disaster. If we are responding to a disaster, we have failed doing what our core value is, and that is to mitigate that future disaster from actually happening in the first place. So with that said, we do not do anything related to the response. We don't do things that are considered response activities, and we will not purchase things that are response equipment. Flood control projects that have to do with the repair or replacement of dams or other flood control structures, that can really be put more simply as repair or replacement. We do not repair and we do not replace. That is not something that we do in our program. We make things better. We can definitely do that though. Projects that address the operation, defer to future maintenance, et cetera, without increasing the level of protection. Key term there, or key statement there being without the increase to the level of protection. Throughout this program, folks who apply should make that their underlying theme. They need to be able to very plainly express how they're increasing the protection level of their structure or their current whatever it is that they're looking at doing. How are you making it better than it was before? So that if the same storm, same event were to come through in the future, or something worse were to come through in the future, how are you prepared to face that and not see the same damages that you saw previously? Who is eligible under our program? Well, we work with state agencies, other state agency partners. We work with mostly counties, cities, towns, those local government agencies, special districts such as fire protection districts or flood protection districts, water districts, etc. We work with federally recognized tribes as well. They can also choose to apply for this program directly through FEMA, which in some cases they choose to do. We also work with private nonprofits as well. And the private nonprofits that we are looking for in our program are private nonprofits that provide essential government services to the public and operate a facility that does exactly that. That's kind of what we're looking for in the realm of PNPs or NGOs. So keep that in mind. This is who would be eligible to apply. We do not work directly with the public, and we do not work with private homeowners or something like that, or for-profit businesses. We don't work with them as either. What you must have to apply for the program, you must have an approved and adopted plan to be eligible. That was something I talked about earlier. That's your golden ticket to the program. You also need to put forth your portion of the cost share. This is a 75-25 split. It's not free money. You need to be able to put your skin in the game here. If you have $1 million project, the federal government will provide a maximum of $750,000. It is up to you to provide that $250,000 federal share. And you can always, always overmatch if necessary. 36-month period of performance, also a big one. You need to not exceed that time frame. It is up to you to comply with all environmental clearances under the CEQA guidelines here in California, and make sure that you do not start any construction or really any work without first advising Cal OES, so that we can see if that's going to be an issue for the project. But it would be best to not let a shovel hit the ground until you have been approved for the project. I would advise any of you today who are interested in our program or any programs related to hazard mitigation assistance to download these 2 documents. These documents will be your guiding, pretty much your guiding principles on everything that is related to the hazard mitigation grant program and any programs that we will be offering here going forward. You need to have this available to you so that you can understand what the program does, and if you choose to apply or you are accepted to apply for our program, this is something you need to have at your disposal. We do not have any funding limitations for projects submitted to us. If you have a $100 million project that has an extremely large scale of the public that it will impact positively, then it's certainly something we want to consider. We do not have any limitations on the funding that we have. The only limitation we have is, of course, the 20% value that we are given for the disaster in the first place. Funding limitations for planning sub-applications: we do not allow folks to request more than $150,000 for a creation of a single jurisdictional LHMP, and $250,000 for a multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan. So right now, we have a notice of interest open until the 31st. This is something that I believe that might be off by a day, so let's call it the 30th to be safe. We have this notice of interest period open. You absolutely have to go fill this out if you're interested. It's a very quick 1-pager on what it is that you want to do and who it is that you are exactly, so that we can take a look at that project from that 30,000-foot view, just to make sure it's eligible for our program. So we don't ask you to go through and fill out the full sub-application, which is extremely time-consuming. It's a very big process. You have to do this NOI first, so that we can pretty much vet you prior to going through the full program. Our website is caloes.ca.gov/HMGP, and that is where you would go to take this or fill out this notice of interest. So I would advise you to, if you're interested, do this sooner rather than later. Let's see here. Sub-application development and benefit cost analysis workshops, something that we would do if you are accepted to apply to the program. You send us your NOI, you are approved. We would then submit or send you an email letting you know that, hey, you are absolutely eligible to apply, and we are encouraging you to join us for these 2 workshops, so that we can provide you with more in-depth technical assistance on how to become successful in applying for the program. So this is something that you would be invited to if you submit an NOI and it's approved. So more information on that later to come. If you're not really in the mood to submit something right now, you're not prepared to submit something right now, there's additional opportunities that come around yearly, same time every year, right after the summer. We have the BRIC program and the FMA program. BRIC program replacing something formerly known as the PDM, or Pre-Disaster Mitigation Program. These are annual appropriations from Congress. These are competitive on a nationwide scale rather than statewide. And so there is a larger pool of funding typically, but they are very, very competitive. So the projects submitted to this have to be absolutely airtight and essentially perfect when submitted to us. But this is something that you have available to you as well every year. The HMGP program has been going strong for quite a while now. Every few months, it seems like we see another large scale disaster, unfortunately, here in the state, and that opens up the program again with each federal disaster. Pending another disaster happens, that is when additional funding would be available outside of these two new programs. So I have to hop off this call right now. So I'm going to have to defer all questions that you folks may have right now to this email address. Please reach out to us. I would encourage you to reach out to us if you're curious in finding out if you are eligible, if you have an eligible project, or if you just want to say hi. Please send us an email here at hma@caloes.ca.gov. Let us know that you are interested in the program or you have some questions about the program, and we'd be glad to assist you with your questions.
Anthony, thank you very much. I will say I did put that email address in the chat as well as the link to your website. So
thank you, Mark. I appreciate that very much.
You can copy it from there. Very simple address.
Thank you.
Thank you for presenting to us again today, as you did with our SoCal Alliance last week.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, we will now resume to the brief update by me and about Shakeout. We were a little bit behind, so I'm just going to really quickly through that. Just let me get it started. All right, so the main points I wanted to share with you is, of course, Shakeout main day, International Shakeout Day, was October 15th, but you can still have earthquake drills. There may still be earthquakes, of course, and if you haven't had a drill, or if you didn't have a drill with all the organizations you belong to, it might be something you consider. This year, let me get my keyboard working. You know, we did have less people participate than last year. Last year was actually a record-breaking year. This year in California and most states and territories and other places, we had about 60% of the participation as last year. We weren't sure what it was going to be like with the pandemic. And that we're pretty happy with that level. You know, there may have been more we could always have done, but we had people participating despite the pandemic, and they were finding new and innovative ways to do so. But you can still register, of course, at shakeout.org, and even in Spanish. If you're not aware, we do have a Spanish website, shakeout.org/Espanol. And what we've been talking about all year is that, you know, really having your drills on different days or different times is good practice. And that is particularly when things aren't how they may normally be, because the earthquake is probably going to happen at a time that is not convenient and not at a scheduled time when you're expecting it, right? We may get a early warning, but we're not going to have a early warning that you can plan for the earthquake in this sense. So, and it's also key that you'll only do earthquake drills ever where you are. You never do an earthquake drill where you're not. But what that means this year, Shakeout in place, is you may be not where you normally are. You may be at home or other places. And so really emphasizing that you don't have to go and gather and maybe do a drill like you normally did. So that was part of what we were also encouraging. And then that led to people possibly doing online drills. And I just want to say, if you aren't aware, we did come out with some drill leader template files, which are still of use. I think they're quite good for how you could lead a drill online, but also in person. So they have some slides that explain Shakeout, explain drop, cover, hold on, and how to adapt that messaging for people with disabilities. It kind of explains that it's happening all over. It has some discussion questions in advance of the drill that you can do. And then it has the 1-minute recording of our what we call our drill broadcast file to actually play the recording, or people, wherever they are, with you in person or on Zoom or wherever, can follow along, and it tells people when to drop and when to get back up again. And of course, they can also practice even if they just stay seated rather, which is our recommendation, if you cannot get down and get back up again on your own. So we have these for several groups. schools, grade K through 4, grade 5 through 12, higher education, and for generic organizations. What we're looking for next year is to expand these out to differentiate, especially among the organization types, that, a faith-based organization and a business may do their drills differently. So we want to have these resources be even next year, if the concept of everything being back to quote unquote normal by October. We all know that a lot of people are transitioning to permanent work from home status. A lot of companies are doing that, organizations. And so the idea of these kind of maybe hybrid in-person and online distributed drills may become a reality. So for next steps, I want to just encourage you all to still have a drill if you haven't. Encourage others to. You may have done a drill with your company or your organization, but maybe not your neighborhood, your community, and others. Look for the Shakeout survey coming very soon, and we really appreciate your response to that survey. And then there is a way that you can share pictures and videos with us, not the actual pictures and videos, but share through a form where you click a link and well, you submit the link to your picture. It might be a post on Twitter or Facebook, or a collection of photos you have, like in a Google Photos collection or something. Make sure you give us permission when you share that link. And then if you have photos that you haven't posted yet, do so. Use the hashtag Shakeout. And I think in the interest of time, if you have any questions, of course, about Shakeout in general, you can always email info@shakeout.org. With that, let's move on quickly to a next component. This is me still, just to introduce our 2021 mini awards. And then we're going to hear from the recipients of the 2020 ECA Bay Area mini awards to show you examples of what you might propose. So what are the ECA mini awards? These are designed to assist ECA Bay Area members to improve earthquake resilience by promoting mitigation, awareness, and preparedness, and hopefully support your own programs and giving you some additional resources. And these are purchases that we make on your behalf. And we have, I believe it's in the Bay Area, 6 $500 awards and 3 $1,000 awards purchases that we'll be making on your behalf. The 1,000 awards are only for earthquake mitigation. It might be securing your own organization objects and furniture and TVs and bookshelves and printers and refrigerators and such, or it might be you working with your constituents or your community, your neighbors, a senior living facility, and other places that your organization wants to support in being more safe and secure and having their space secured during an earthquake so things don't fall and cause injury or block exit, et cetera. Priority will be given to those types of activities. And you'll hear about some of those type of activities coming up. So we have a package. We have different packages worth $500 or $1,000 that we've negotiated with some of the vendors that provide these materials. They're really worth a lot more, but we're basically getting their cost. You, however, can on your own come up with your own package, maybe more specific to your exact needs. You can work with these partners, Ready America and Safety Proof, or whoever you like, to get the materials that you would use for your program. You just have to then provide us an invoice that we would then pay for on your behalf, and we would work with you on that. So you can see we have options for securing schools, community organizations, large and small, now with the 500 and 1,000. Also living spaces, that could be a home, it could be apartments, however you want to define that, could be a senior living complex or other type of facility. And then also one that's fewer items, but that come in kits that can secure more homes, but just it's more like starter kit. Then we also have educational materials, Map Your Neighborhood. There are words missing there. It's 1,250 Map Your Neighborhood shingle workbooks come from that $500 package. Also the Rockets Earthquake Adventure storybooks and the new activity books you can order And actually, this slide is incorrect. It would be 1,000 of the activity books and 500 of the storybooks. This is all outlined in a catalog that you'll find on the webpage for this, where these things are correct. You can also get some shakeout materials, and we'll see an example of that. And finally, while not supported by our FEMA National Earthquake Hazard Reduction Program and Cal OES support, we will work to provide support if you submit a proposal for disaster supplies and make a really good case for those. So that's all lined out or outlined in our webpage, which you'll find now at earthquakecountry.org/Bay Area. Big link to seeing all the details about the mini award program. Applications are due December 4th, and it's a very simple application to complete. You just want to make sure that you're really describing what you're going to do, and in particular, how you're going to do it, how you're going to implement the program, even if the COVID restrictions continue. The deadline for completing everything is May 31st. So some of our presenters coming up right now are going to talk about actually how they implemented their program despite COVID. So with that, Sharon, could you introduce, if that is what we want to do here, each of the presenters so they can give their talk?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure working with the mini award recipients this year. They are all listed here on the slide. So let me encourage you, if you are going to make your presentation, take note of where you are listed on the slide. These are going to be lightning talks. So you are going to have 2 minutes, and I will run the timer. You'll have 2 minutes to make your presentation, and I'll give you a 15-second warning. Okay, sound good? We're going to start with Eden INR, Lars Eric Holm.
All right, thank you very much. I have my own timer going. Good, so go ahead and click through it. So I'm with 211 Alameda County, where the phone number people can call for help, and click. Basically what this was that this was basically a package that included items that we could give out to folks, fun outreach items. Let's go ahead and click really quickly through the bullets. I had done this. There was I thought I'd be driving. It was basically to help promote Shakeout in particular, but earthquake safety in general. Our audience was basically meant to be people who requested outreach items from us. That's still happening despite COVID. We also did a training series called Prepare You. You'll see a bit more about that in just a second. So the original plan was we normally table a fair number of community events, which is a great opportunity to distribute items. This year, not so much, and you know why that was, right? We all know. So how we adapted, basically what we did was we included shakeout items when materials were requested from us. People request materials about 211. Some of the stickers and buttons were very easily mailable, and we also had people come and pick things up from us. And then we can include larger items as well, like the occasional t-shirt, for example. Go ahead and click. What we also did was, oh yeah, and people really, really enjoyed that. They thought it was something they didn't ask for, so they were super excited when they got it. Go ahead and click. How we adapted also was we did a 7-week training series called Prepare You. You might be able to see the poster for that over my shoulder. It covered a wide range of topics. Go ahead and click. And basically at the very end of all of this, we actually did have a socially distanced event at the very end. This is actually useful because a lot of these folks actually do outreach of their own. So you get a very nice kind of a ripple effect here. Go ahead and click.
15 seconds.
Yep, I got that. And we basically had graduation packs for folks. Go ahead and click. Just keep clicking through it basically. We basically followed health guidelines to basically give them a training in the parking lot. You'll see some photos for that in just a second. Go ahead and click on that for the photos. And people were super, super happy to have gotten that. And that's how we adapted and how we did it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's fantastic. Our next presenter is Jean Gilsig from Yerba Buena Avenue. Go ahead, Jean.
Sorry, I just muted myself. My name is Jean Gilsig, and I live in Los Altos, in North Los Altos, and the recipient of the Secure Your Space Kit. And as you can see on this picture, I thought there were a variety of strapping items to strap your furniture, to strap, bookcases, as well as your TV and electronics, as well as putty to secure your most valuable items from falling down. Click. So my mission was to really enable my neighbors to feel safe in their homes by securing them from falling objects. My neighborhood is a very old neighborhood, and we've got 80 and 90-year-olds. And so I felt very compelled to assist them with securing their homes in this fashion. So the ECA Secure Your Home Kits provided 10 of my neighbors with tools to enable them to do that. I feel that the benefit would be that it helped them to feel a little safer in their neighborhood, in their homes, and and feel safer in terms of not having to lose precious items. However, the challenges really for me was the pandemic, the fires, the election. There were so many distractions for my neighbors in terms of getting prepared. Earthquake preparedness was not at the top of the mind. Click. So the results to date are that some of them have already prepared their homes and have used most of the items, while others have not. I will be checking in with them in a month to see where they are, but most of the neighbors really are older and are dependent on other people to install their kits. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Our next one is Martinez Area Cert, Boys and Girls Club. Stephen.
Good afternoon. This is Stephen Andrews with Martinez Area Cert. Our project involved mini grants for the Secure Your Space and disaster supplies at the Boys and Girls Club, which serves 100 youth throughout the week. The project scope include non-structural hazard risk assessment. So doing that and videotaping it and putting it up on the website following the FEMA E74 guidance. We then used the materials that we received to actually mitigate the hazards, particularly the high and moderate risk hazards. And then we were planning to do fire suppression and disaster preparedness training. We were able to do fire suppression, had to postpone the disaster preparedness. And then we were working on earthquake safety and resilient outreach through the websites. The impact, we were able to mitigate all of the high and moderate risk non-structural hazards. We were able to produce 2 videos that are both on the Martinez Cert and on the Boys and Girls Club websites. We developed a Cert and Boys and Girls Club partnership, both for training and use of the facility to do training, which we thought was really beneficial. Our COVID challenges were access to the facility, work party logistics, and then having to postpone the hands-on component, which was a 20-hour training on earthquake preparedness. Even though we had the COVID-19 issues, we had some new opportunities, and that was really to develop an ongoing relationship between CERT and the Boys and Girls Club. And that now gives us outreach, access to some 2,000 families that are within the Boys and Girls Club Contra Costa service area. Our implementation tips for this are to be flexible, be able to adapt to changing circumstances, and have contingency plans. A plan B, a plan C are a good idea. Maintain frequent communication with the partners, under promise, over deliver, and be innovative. Plan to do follow-up. Don't do this as a one and done opportunity. Go back after 6 months and plan to go back after 1 year and evaluate what's happened since you did the project.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. That's great. The next one is Michael Chase with Columbus Craft Meats. Go ahead.
So go ahead and click the next one. So our main focus is on earthquake preparedness. Go to the next slide. So we have 2 facilities. We did our earthquake assessment. We found 54 observations at our Bayfront site and 97 at our San Antonio site. These are things where if we have a major earthquake, things could fall on people. With the mini award, 51 were corrected at Bayfront and only a few at San Antonio. So this is an example of our engineering office. You can see we have file cabinets with stuff on top. Go to the next one. And then afterwards, we've used the earthquake straps to strap the cabinets to the wall. We removed the things off the top so they're not going to fall on people's heads. Next one. This is our break room area, our refrigerator, coffee maker, very typical. To the next. We use the electronic straps for the microwave and coffee maker, and then we strap the refrigerator to the wall. You can see at the very top and the back. We still need to clean the stuff off the top of the refrigerator. Next. This is in a production office. We used, again, the straps to hold the equipment to the walls, and the large art pieces and awards were anchored down with the museum putty. Next. So we still have some challenges out there. So we have compressed air bottles that are in our R&D lab. These have been strapped to the holder, but the holder still needs to be bolted to the wall. Vending machines. We've reached out to the vending machine supplier, but they have not gotten back to us on anchoring their equipment down. And then we have wire racking that needs to be attached somehow to the wall. So
15 seconds.
Next. Okay, so the mini award was about $1,000. We used about $600 worth of equipment. The other stuff where there's a lot of museum putty and things, and then the additional cost to complete the project would be about $500. And the best prices I found for the Quake Hold products was at Home Depot, if you're interested in looking that up. And then we received emergency kits as well, and that supplemented our emergency response gear. In case.
Great, thank you.
Hey, Michael, this is Mark Benthien. I just want to give you a tip on those racks. That what you can do is you can put an eye bolt into the stud in the wall, and then you use like a bungee cord around the columns as a good way of securing those.
Yeah, I've got a couple more ideas too.
Like a lasso around them. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Next up.
Thanks.
Next up is Block Action Team 910, Dave McLaren.
Hey, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you very much. Just for those who aren't aware, the Block Action Team initiative all around Los Altos, the neighborhood's divided up into block action teams, and we have about 50 homes in ours. So we put together a project to help a lot of the people in the neighborhood. Like one of the previous speakers, we have a lot of elderly folks in our neighborhood who haven't necessarily done a lot of earthquake preparedness and also need a little bit of assistance. So our aim for our project was to educate our neighborhood on earthquake preparedness, survey every home. We've got about 50 of them to see which ones were prepared, which ones were not. Distribute the home fastening kits that we received as part of our mini award, and then help with the installation of these kits as needed. So if you can go to the next slide. So we got the allocation of our safety-proof home fastening kits. Of course, again, due to COVID, our original plans had to change significantly. Instead of meeting and kind of going through with everybody, we found video links on the safety-proof site and went through those with people, got them to read, got them to watch the videos. We did all our surveying remotely. And then kits were deposited at front doors, and then we had people install them themselves. And if they were having trouble installing them, we got them to give us a call. We got to talk people through installing, but we didn't go into anybody's homes. But despite the obvious challenges, the project was good. We ended up, out of the 50 homes, only about 12 or so really needed assistance. I think a lot of people had become prepared earlier. And certainly people are now a little bit more educated and a little bit ready for that shake that we might get coming up. So all in all, a good result. Thank you.
Thank you. The next is City of Richmond Fire, Genevieve Pastor Cohen.
Good afternoon. This is Genevieve Pastor Cohen. I am the Office of Emergency Services Manager for the fire department, and we're very grateful to ECA for this mini award because I was able to focus in on our seniors and individuals with functional needs and those who are economically challenged. As you can see here, this is the community we targeted, and they were really excited about receiving their kits. And next slide, please. And what we did was that we originally had online emergency preparedness training. And from those training sessions, we were able to remain socially distanced, obviously. And so from those meetings, we marked who was a senior and who had access to functional needs. And from that, we selected the winners of the packets. And what we did was when we delivered the packets to the winners of the kits, we asked them 3 questions. First of all, how this kit would enhance their preparedness and what would they do to further grow that kit, because there are certainly other things that they would need. And then also to commit to participating in Shakeout 2020. And they all indicated how they were going to participate in Shakeout 2020. Because they were physically challenged, most of them either checked their emergency phone lists to make sure that all their family numbers were correct.
15 seconds.
And also checking around their homes to make sure their homes were safe. So there were others too as well, but they were very happy to receive the kits. Thank you.
Thank you, Genevieve.
You're welcome.
And our last one is Block Action Team number 14, Daphne Ross.
Hi, everyone. So my Block Action team received 20 emergency preparedness backpacks. The year before, in 2019, actually, we had compiled household emergency preparedness kits together. And we also shared stories and best practices. That picture on the left is just 3 of my neighbors who attended that particular social with the kits that we put together. And I thought the emergency backpacks would be a nice complement to the kits that we made because obviously they're smaller, people can put them in their cars, and they're just sort of a pared down version of some of the things that we advocated for people keeping in big kits that presumably would go in people's houses or in their garages. So the next slide, because of COVID, another participant mentioned about the bats. The size of the bats vary. Mine is 21 houses. And I had planned to distribute the backpacks during a social breakfast because I think the social component is really important to emergency preparedness. I think it encourages people to remember it, but also to share what they do in their own homes. But unfortunately, because of the pandemic and also during this time, it was also very smoky where we lived. But I planned a pickup from our driveway, and people were able to stop by and just get their supplies. And people took me up on that. If they did not feel comfortable, I offered to drop it off their house. And I have about 30% of people who are over 60 in my Block Action team. So some people definitely took me up on that. But I have definitely gotten feedback that people feel much more prepared. And like someone else said, earthquakes are sort of far from people's minds these days, but there are plenty of emergencies and we never know if we're going to be at home. So it's great to have portable supplies. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. You guys did such an amazing job under such tenuous circumstances, and you really are so inspiring. So thank you very much to all the mini award recipients. And I hope that you all will share this with your neighborhoods and your communities and encourage them to apply for mini awards in this next coming cycle.
Yeah, and just to remind everybody, you can put the link to the mini awards ECA Bay Area page there in the chat. You can also go to earthquakecountry.org/Bay Area to apply. And it's a very simple application, due by December 4th. Just figure out what you want to do. And once you fill it out, it'll probably only take you about 20 minutes. And then you'll be notified before the holidays. You'll receive items hopefully before January 31st, February 15th or so. And then everything will need to be complete by May 31st. Should we turn it over to our chairs for closing announcements and other topics?
Great.
I'm not able to get to
Hi, everybody.
Trying to get to my ending slides here. Sorry, just there we go. There we go.
Yep. No worries. So thank you, everybody. Wonderful presentations. And really, we encourage everybody to apply for the mini awards. It is very easy, and it is just very gratifying too, to be able to provide just those little bits of security, if you would, to your neighbors through your programs. So thank you again for everybody that applied and received awards last year. And please encourage those that you know to apply for this year. With that, I don't know if Daniel's still on the line with me.
Hello.
There he is. But would you like to take it away? Do we have any short announcements we would like to share?
No, I just wanted to compliment everyone for, putting together, I mean, first of all, to the ECA team for organizing and producing this Zoom session. I feel like these web-based convenings are actually increasing participation levels, and just really appreciate the work that goes in to make these events happen. And I also want to thank our presenters today for sharing some really important, powerful information regarding some of the mitigation investments that are being made and some of the readiness investments. So just wanted to offer that as a closing remark.
And good afternoon, everyone. This is Ray Benea. I was a little bit late in joining, but was able to partake in the view and kind of the presentations of the mini award winners. And I do echo the comments of my fellow co-chairs. I was very impressed with the innovation and with our commitment, despite everything that's going on around us, to ensure that we're advancing resiliency and preparedness in all of the different aspects of the world that we live in. So very innovative ideas, and thanks for sharing those, and congratulations.
Thank you, Ray. Welcome aboard.
I put a couple links into the chair. Yes, Ray, thank you. Welcome as your first regional workshop, online workshop of ECA Bay Area, and your new role as a co-chair. I wanted to mention that I've put 2 links in the chat, one for the survey that we would ask that you complete about today's workshop. And I'll show it on the screen. For some reason, the automated letters become fly 88Zs, which, but that was just random. But that you can click the link. It's also will be on the web page for this meeting. And the recording of today's meeting will be online by early next week as well. And also, please do encourage others you know who you think should be a part of the Earthquake Country Alliance, either Bay Area or at other parts of the state, to join. And that's the other link I've added there. You go to earthquakecountry.org, click on the big or the orangish red, the Alliance tab, and that's where you can join. Because that's also what we're about, is including more people with us, so that more people can also apply for the mini awards, so we have more to choose from. Sharon, is there anything else as our Bay Area liaison for any upcoming news people should know?
No, I just want to again encourage everyone to think about being creative and coming up with creative projects that will benefit your community, and apply for those mini awards. They're a great opportunity to engage with your community. And again, if you are interested in joining us either on the ECA Bay Area Coordinating Committee or on any of our statewide sector-based committees, please reach out to us. My email address, bayarea@earthquakecountry.org. I'm always happy to share more information and get more people engaged. So please do join us.
Thank you, everyone.
Mark and Sharon, for all you do.
Thanks, Dina. Everybody have a great day.